I'll be talking about the September 8th, 2022 Pinwheel Experiment. Now, I was in Scotland from July 24th to August the 26th, and the pinwheels were basically still while I was in Scotland, but the blink cameras activated a few times, and somewhat inexplicably, except that there were other times when there were these anomalous balls of light that were wavering around, somewhat unexplained. The September 1st session was the first experimental session after I got back from Scotland, and I did a pretty rigorous check of the blink cameras. They seemed to be functioning properly, but then during the session they stopped functioning properly, and so I used the zoom camera system to document that the Lefty was turned quite vigorously, and the blink camera should have activated. But the first proper blink activation, the natural activation due to the turning of the pinwheels, occurred on September the 6th, 2022. So here's the settings. Camera 1 is set to re-trigger in 25 seconds, and it's focused on Lefty, and the sensitivity was set at 6, and the clip length is 25 seconds. Camera 2 is focused on Alice. That's re-triggering time 25 seconds, sensitivity 7, and clip length 25. So here's Alice inside the plastic container, here's Lefty, and here's Smiley over here on the left out of the view of the camera. So I'm adjusting the blink camera because the question is, can it see through? Maybe it can't see through the glass because something's not working very well. So I meditated each day in the experimental room, and I noticed I saw the pinwheels were still every day. So on Tuesday I adjusted the blink camera and I pushed it up against the glass so it got a very good image. You could see the pinwheel very well, and that started Alice turning, and we had 31 movements, 15 on Tuesday and 15 on Wednesday, and I thought maybe it's the heat of the camera, and if I back it away, that'll stop this, these shenanigans from going on. So on Wednesday, I did adjust the camera, and that's what it looks like after the adjustment. And then there was an activation on Wednesday evening. So Alice can still turn, just maybe not as much. We'll see. So here's the distributions after that last group session on September the 1st. Nothing, 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 nothing. Then I moved the blink camera so it touched, got 12 activations, 16 more activations. So I moved Alice away from the plastic container, and I'll talk about the group session later, for future pages, but there were 58 activations during that day on Thursday of Alice and 101 of Lefty. So we have an incredible burst of phenomena, and I don't know why changing this camera should affect this pinwheel. It seems we're dealing with a high level of anomalous phenomena here. So here's the distribution on Thursday. Fairly still, then it starts picking up. This is the time period of the group session. Let's just color this in. Give it a little different shade. And so then you see the typical tapering off pattern after the session's over. Very few activations. Group meets during those 3 hours. High level of activation. A lot of activation of Alice inside this closed container. So any lateral wind, heat must be coming up underneath, perhaps to turn, or wind must be blowing down or something. If you have to have a normal explanation, that's I guess the direction you should go. So then I moved it. So that's on Tuesday. I moved Alice so it touched the plastic container. Let's look at that. I'm doing my best I can to document what I'm doing. There's a certain complexity, and this is a strange phenomenon. So this is a rim. I'm going to leave the room. and when I leave the room, everything calms down. So here's the first of the Alice activations on Tuesday at 18:56. And you'll see about a quarter turn. Looks like we got a pretty bad glare though. 1/4 turn, 25 seconds. Which is not bad for being still for such a very, very long time inside that plastic container. Here's another example on Wednesday of Alice turning. Another quarter turn clockwise, completed in 25 seconds. I'm going to move through these. Wednesday, an example case, 1/4 turn of Alice. Let's look at it. Clockwise, completed in 25 seconds. There are 28 Alice activations on Tuesday and Wednesday. I made a lot of checks just to see what's going on. Alice, they were still 11:23 and 11:26 is the new adjustment of the Alice camera showed in this video. Here we go. Moved away from the container. Then I checked 11:26, 11:27, pinwheels were still. Adjusting this so they can look at the proper angle. That activates it because it sees the motion. Okay, so I'm meditating each day. That's what it looks like entering the meditation room. I want to see if the cameras are functioning properly. They should pick up motion in the room. Pinwheels are still. Checking the air vent. No air coming through. Nothing, can't feel it. Nothing. Looking at the pinwheels. Pinwheels are still. Meditation, 16:13. Pinwheels, a little bit of turning. But not enough to activate the camera. Now when I sit back there away, I'm zooming in using the camera to focus on them. When I sit back there away, I can move pretty vigorously and they don't turn. It doesn't seem to affect them. That's just been my observation over for month and month and month of watching them while meditating. Thursday, 6:39, 18:39, we have some action. Blink camera activates properly. 5/8 of a turn plus, 25 seconds counterclockwise. So you notice the outdoor temperatures, the indoor temperature is 74, outdoor temperature is 76. Here's the weather. Temperatures in indoor 76, outdoor 74. I think I have it reversed there. I made a mistake talking about that before. And so there shouldn't really have much impact. You can't really make predictions from that. And also that I'm beginning to doubt the degree which the indoor-outdoor temperatures correlate. We'll have to do a complete analysis later on to see what that value actually is. So here I'm setting up the cell phone camera. And my entrance in.
1, 2, 3.
Sound system functions properly. We have a full turn, so this time it's really acting. My presence is stimulating a lot. But then we did a check at 7:14, 7:15, the pinwheels were still. So here at 5:20, have some activity to document. 17:20. Full turn in 25 seconds. Let me just back up for a second. Let me look at that. Here I'm at 19. This slides out of place. Let's just put this up here. Okay, now it's in proper chronological order. Here's the 1900. Here's 1951. And I say, you can hear my voice in the background. And I'm saying, I know I turned on the sound, but for some reason, the microphones of the blink cameras are not working. So that's not really explainable. I'm not sure why that is. It's not functioning properly. But this is an activation in 25 seconds. So the blink cameras are functioning, just the sound's not functioning properly. And Melanie, Heather are talking. So the sound is functioning properly. And I wasn't able to really figure out, I don't think there's anything significant within the conversation topic, but here we're going to keep track, and it seems to be working.
Don't worry. You know, I think I've never had that level of support in my life. Totally good. It was scary, not knowing, like for a week, because today was the day that I found out that I had everybody's support. You know, the weekend was horrible, you know.
And she's talking about her foster care system. Foster care support is very, very important to her. It's very significant. So this should be considered an emotional topic for her. Here's Heather discussing a class that she's offering and about compassion.
I think compassion is a dynamic positive. You know, compassion is not something that's concrete. It develops pain and suffering, right? And so this is what we're going to do with our words. And we're going to use words as our meditation.
Have a very strong turn, half turn of Alice inside that container. Here's another activation with Lefty. It's a very strong turn with Lefty. We're seeing through the glass.
And this is a big deal for me. This is what my course description is. And this is, you know, I put it down on the website. And this is the point for the documentaries or the book or an experience. You thought, oh my gosh, is this who I am? You know, and they realize how you.
And she's offering a course, and she wants to have a good course description. And here we talk about compassion.
Is compassion. I've never heard some of the scholars. You know, it's important to create a way to enter your own compassion. You know, you can't, and I'm reading a lot about this, and it's difficult to do it because of your compassion. You're going to get to know other people, whether you like it or not.
So it seems like they're having a powerful discussion. But here's a mundane conversation. She's going to have to leave soon because she's got an appointment. Now I'm talking about Boris and the story he told.
I remember she said the first experience they ever had. and there were these voices, and then he also meditated on his dad, meditating, he was over to the door, his mom came in, put him back in bed, and so almost later, this text is there.
Yeah, see, I'm reading a book which he wrote, and it's more linear than the way he normally tells his stories. And here, Kim's talking about a mediumship situation.
And the mediums, but I think they were having, problems keeping things going. I know this house also had a lot of, it was like a blur house, and they had probably like the first one, like in December. And that's like, they've been had services for a period of time, and just.
She was doing a kind of a field investigation. So here I'm talking about Boris and his experiences.
I'm talking about that, like a diary for about a year and a half, or a year and a bunch of months. So right now, I'm going through the diary, and it tells me these different things happen, like things disappeared, walking cells, and I hear all these things, and then it's just a little repetitious.
Because the things keep happening. Similar kind of things keep happening. Kim's talking about a poltergeist event that apparently she investigated. So this is the Alice camera at 1901, and this is the Lefty camera picking up that same conversation. Lefty's active. Look how still Alice is.
And then Sam was later evolved into being a demonic entity. But in my experience,
this is a case I was reading about. I'm just going to back up. I want to look here at what this looks like. Let's just turn on the other side. This is a continuous turning of Lefty. There's a continuous turning of Lefty, and then this other blink camera picked up on that. So now I'm talking about a previous session.
It was just continually going. Like 6 activations, 7 activations. And then there's a time where it wasn't activating at all, the wheel was turning.
That's yeah, the skeptics would like to explain the turning, saying, well, the camera is giving off the heat, and so that causes the air convection currents, but oftentimes we put the camera there and it doesn't turn at all, and it just, nothing happens. So our skeptical theories need to be tested to the same degree that our believer theories are tested. I'm talking about a therapeutic process.
Therapeutic process, I think.
Yeah, I heard the idea of Boyd Arma. Well, I know I've taken a couple of business classes, he does that professor paranormal stuff on writing and stuff too, and software might be something about, being involved with,
So I could see why the pinwheels might be attracted to him or like him. He's the one who kind of supported this idea of introducing pinwheels to our group session, so we're kind of following his advice in that area. And here's me talking again.
When you're exposed to you come like that. I think that's misconception to me. I've been exposed to so now I have to put my light and things.
Look at these two wheels turning the whole time. It's amazing. And yes, but from hanging out within the group, I have there was a burst of poltergeist phenomena and synchronicity phenomena that occurred to me, and it seems to have affected me and made it possible for me to have greater experiences in this area.
So it's going pretty good. So like I said before, whenever we have a motion-laden story, look, the camera's switched on. A motion-laden story, or parapsychological theory, or laughing and joking, demonstrating the poor, and it turns. And I think we just keep documenting that again and again and again. I guess eventually.
Maybe this will. So this is what it looks like when I'm using a zoom camera. I've got the cell phone camera watching the pinwheels, and this is a screen that we see in our group, and so I've aimed a video camera at the screen just to show you what it looks like. But then that activation occurred.
They have a electronic voice phenomenon that the spirit says, and then, oh, they say, oh, to my mom.
I think that's sort of what my point was, maybe to try to, get.
So we have a very strong turn from Lefty. That laughter, it really likes the laughing, I think. And then I was talking about my damage to my career as a sociologist.
So, I'll make it great. That's cool.
Yep.
Talk about the grave and people get a little bit silent, I think. So I'm telling them about the early days.
I didn't have these cameras, and I was introducing artifacts. I bought these candles, and I put the candles in there, and it's really beautiful. But the candles was really hot. They weren't really turning that well. They were just kind of agitated. And kind of jiggle around the heat.
Type of.
It was way too hot.
Yeah, it was just, those were the early days. I put candles out, and it didn't really work the way I expected. Now, here's the group has closed down, and now we're at the 9:30 period, and they're still turning. Lefty gets a full turn, pretty strong. And in some of my sessions, I find the strongest turns seem to occur when no one's watching and after the end of the session. Here's a full turn by Alice. Very, very strong Alice turn. 25 seconds. Here's a turn by Lefty. We'll watch it through the glass. It's interesting when they turn together. This time they're both turning counterclockwise, but they can turn, it's more frequent for them to turn opposite directions actually. Here's Alice doing another full turn. Very, very strong behavior. So, it activates the camera, then it turns on this special wavelength light so it can see better. Here's the fastest turn by Lefty. 1 3/4 turn, 25 seconds. Occurring after the people have left. within my experimental time period, because I'm counting from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock is my experimental time period. Here's another turn, 1.5 by Lefty. Now here, let's show it to you again. So I was curious, to what degree are they coordinated? Because it seems a lot of times that they're not coordinated, but then other times it's as if they are highly coordinated. There's a lot of conservation of energy. Now, I'm interested in this chirping sound because the theory is that this will stimulate the turning. And it does seem to have stimulated the turning. And I can make the chirping sound by putting in my hearing aid, which is connected to the cell phone, so that creates a feedback. So it's equivalent to 1.2 turns in 25 seconds. And even Alice does a little bit of turning. See, now this is, of course, using the zoom system. Very strong turn. 1.23 turns in 25 seconds. And Alice does a 3/4 turn, which is pretty good for Alice. It seems like that's connected. The volume came up when the turning begins. So this is an experiment. Let's go ahead and watch it. This will go on for a long time. After you'll make a 10.25 turns in 205 seconds. So you'll notice the cameras have activated. The blink camera has activated. But it only can run for 25 seconds, then it shuts off, and then it has a waiting period before it will reactivate again. Okay, I won't take so much of your time. Let's just watch. You'll see there's turning within this time period. Pretty strong turning. Here's the Alice camera capturing some turning. 1 3/4 of a turn by Lefty through the glass. So this particular system, my method's a little bit problematic as to how do I determine what I'm going to count as an activation. And I'm getting activation of Lefty, but it's counting, it's being seen with the Alice camera through the glass. Here's Alice turning, 3/4 of a turn in 25 seconds. And after the experimental session is over, 10:09. It should be 20:09, so it would be 22. Let's fix that. This is 22. Here's the strongest performance by Alice. Full turn, 25 seconds, almost a full turn. with no one watching. So the very strongest performances occur when no one's watching and not during the experimental session period. Here's the hourly activity and the number of Lefty rotations, which are greater than 1. So you see that this experimental time period includes most of all the activity, the activations, and we have this cooling off period. So we have 92 Lefty activations, 34 Alice, a very, very strong session. High percentage here at the 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock hour, 41% were larger than 1. It's a very, very strong session that we just experienced. And this is after a very strange session the week before. We had not functioning, the blink camera not functioning properly, so it recorded a score of 0. So now we're having a very high score. So the documentation of the experimental conditions and placement of the blink cameras, I moved the Alice camera close, and then the next day moved it back, so I wanted to get a better sight and more authentic reading. Concerned about the possibility of heat affecting the glass. High level of activity, total Alice 34, Lefty 92. There's an audio problem at the beginning, but then it seemed to cure itself. Was the outdoor temperature a factor? Probably not. Was the cell phone camera a factor? Perhaps. But why does it sometimes have no effect at all? Why is it when I can put that camera there sometimes, turn it on, and we get 0 activations, and it's exactly the same position. So it seems like it's logical to say some other factors causing the activations, and the fact that the groups there, we're going to test that statistically through this experimental research. So Alice was half the time clockwise and half counterclockwise. I don't know why that is. Lefty was always counterclockwise. The impression of the participants, they were very firm believers that this is a paranormal phenomena. And the discussion topics and laughter and rapid speech seeming within this study, that seems to be a factor, a contributing factor.